Yeah, so first I want to say that I'm a strong supporter of the University of Missouri, and if I'm elected, it's an institution that I want to support and will always be a proponent to get funding for the university. I think they do wonderful things for our community in regards to the people that they attract to come students and staff and the research that they do, and they're also a very significant employer in our community. This year was a tough year for the University of Missouri. I'm disappointed that the General Assembly used its power when it comes to appropriations to punish the university for the way the protests were handled and things like that. I think that was an overstep. When it comes to the university, or excuse me, the Missouri Legislature's job, it does not entail issues around human resources. So when it comes to a professor getting let go and things like that, and I think that the university responded to the pressure of the Missouri legislature, but it wasn't, I don't believe it was the legislator's role to get involved in that case with the professor. Absolutely. Our roads and our infrastructure and our bridges are in need of a lot of repair. And I think that's an issue that both sides of the Democrats and Republicans recognize. I do support an increase in our fuel tax and our gas taxes to pay for that. It's something that is needed desperately in Missouri. Yeah, well, I first want to say that I'm very pleased that Governor Nixon vetoed the gun bill. That was a bill that I think had very dangerous repercussions if it goes into law. The majority of Missourians do not support a permitless conceal and carry. Legislators really need to put the interest of their constituents and the safety of their communities and the families and children in those communities first. And that means having common sense gun safety laws in place. And that means if you're going to have a concealed and carry weapon, that you should be required to have a safety training for that. In regards to stand your ground, that's also something I don't support. Missouri is the first state since 2011 to enact that. And research has found that in states where they have expanded stand your ground, that the homicide rates go up significantly. And also the stand your ground, it's very dangerous. It's a public health issue to me and a public safety issue. I mean, giving somebody the right to shoot to kill and be judge, jury, and executioner in a public space if they feel a perceived threat to their own lives, I think is very dangerous. No, I don't believe so. I think that safety issues and concerns that's being dealt with by the folks that are hired to be security on campus. And I know that the majority, the universities have gone down to Jefferson City to testify to say, we don't want this on our campus. So I do not believe what was passed this year is really significant at all. It might be a talking point for somebody who's running for election, but in reality, the folks that just left the legislature who may be termed out or not running again can go back and be a lobbyist this year. This is a significant problem in our state. We need real ethics reform. Right now there's absolutely no cap on contributions. So we have a lot of millionaires that can basically support a campaign and push their own extreme agenda. And so we've seen that with folks that really push right to work and anti-union legislation, that they will support candidates and back them. So I feel like that really having the legislative agenda in the hands of the very rich and powerful does not represent a true democracy, and this is something that we desperately need to address. So I believe that we have a real opportunity in Missouri to accept the federal dollars and expand Medicaid here in our state. That means that we'll have about 300,000 more people that will have access to health care. Mainly these are low-income folks that don't get employee-based health care. So for that reason, I'm very much for it. Also, our rural communities are really hurting from this. We've had 3 rural hospitals close. And so that's another issue that needs to be addressed. And then something that I think is very significant, not just the improving the quality of life for parents and for workers and for our communities so they have access to health care. We also have to think about what it means economically. And we've seen state after state when they've expanded Medicaid, there's true savings. The facts don't lie when it comes to their state budget. And so we are really missing out on an opportunity to bring those federal tax dollars back into our state here in Missouri. So I'm in full support of Medicaid expansion. So for tax credits, I think right now in our state we should be taking a hard look at that just because of the amount of money that is being allocated for that could otherwise go to properly funding our public schools. So I think that we need to reevaluate that. It's something that should be looked at, absolutely.